Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Hello, and welcome back to the Love Pod, everyone. I am your host, Julia, and I'm really excited about today's conversation. We welcome our guest, Dani el A Birch, who is joining us from Australia, and she is devoted to helping leaders, founders, and high achievers remember who they truly are beneath all the programming and inherited identities. Her mission is super resonant with us at Lightheart Vision, to awaken humanity to more love, more truth, and deep acceptance of their soul essence. She works with new earth leaders, remembering their pure soul calling. And in today's conversation, we'll get to know Daniela a little bit more and, what the Akashic Records are and how she works with them, how subconscious and energetic programming shapes our identities, what it means to honor our soul missions, and what it looks like to live a nomadic life aligned with purpose. Daniela, welcome to the Love Pod. We are so grateful to have you here. Feel free to unmute yourself and start your video whenever you're ready.
Hello.
Hi, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Every time it's saying the video cannot start until the host has asked you to start your video.
Oh,
Um,
there you are.
okay, I don't know what was going on there. I'm
Sorry
trying to
about
release
that.
the interference sometimes when I'm doing these shows. This is what happens. Apologies.
No need to apologize. How are you doing today, this morning, Daniela?
I am doing amazing. I really am. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne and couldn't be happier to be on your show.
Well, thank you. We're so grateful for you to be here. And I know we had a little bit of a mix up with the time, but we figured it all out. So everything all happens in divine timing. I would love to invite you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Absolutely. Well, hello. I'm Daniela. I have been working with the Akashic Records for thousands of lifetimes, so I'd love to chat about that today. I have been a digital nomad for the last 13 years, so I love to travel the world and meet you all in person. And my mission, as you already mentioned, is to really help awaken the Earth leaders who are here to build the new systems on Earth. So that's something I'm really passionate about.
I love that. And I'm also so passionate about that too. And it's so funny because if we were to be having this conversation a decade ago, a part of me would have been like, what are you talking about? But I do believe that we all come here for such an important purpose. And it's such a crucial time right now with the Great Awakening that's happening on Earth. And, we all came here to be a part of that. Some of us more than others. But what I love about the awakening process is through our own awakenings, we help to awaken those around us. And it's not always a comfortable process, as I'm sure that you've known from your own direct experience, but it's a most rewarding one. And to truly remember who we are, what we are, and why we came here is such a beautiful unfolding process. Um, to begin, I would love to ask you about your name because when people read the title and see, who our guest is in this episode, they may see the squiggles in your name. So I'd love to invite you to share how that came about.
Yeah, so I'm basically what we call a walk-in. So I'm a soul that's been in this physical body for the last 14 years. And so I didn't resonate with my birth name being Danielle. I guess you could say, soul name is Dani el A. So I just wanted to embody the three names and really honor the old soul who was called Danielle. And so that's why I've got the hyphens there, sort of like a journey of who I've been for 54 years. So
Yeah, that's so interesting. And, I would love to ask you, how did you discover that you're a walk-in?
Look, it was a really traumatic time, to be honest. It's not something I'd recommend other souls to do. But basically, when we are a walk in, usually we have some kind of accident, we're in a coma, or, we're sort of out of it. And when we wake up, we're like, whoa, where are we? But with me, the transition was when I was still awake. And so I just remember the old soul saying she wanted to die. She didn't want to be here anymore. There was a lot of depression and trauma with her. And so when I entered the body, I actually got Bell's palsy and I couldn't move. I couldn't talk for a good week. It was quite traumatic for me. And it wasn't until maybe 2 months after that that somebody came into my life and said, "You're a walk-in, and this is what's happened to you." So it was kind of like spirit gave me the awareness after the event, and I just got such a huge yes. And then obviously I looked into it, and yes, I recognize that this soul now, Daniela, or Ari Saloon is her name, had this mission for humanity, and she's like, I wanted to come in at this time.
That's very interesting. So you came in and kind of with this remembrance and this activation. How did it come through to you? Was it just kind of like a thought in your mind? How did you remember what your soul mission is?
Well, the old soul had already started the journey. She had already, sort of been working as a psychic, doing tarot readings, healing, had done a majority of the work. So for me, it was an extension. She didn't know anything about the Akashic Records. She was a makeup artist. And so when I came into the body, like all these people left my life. I stopped talking to my parents. I had a daughter at the time she was 7 when I took over the role as the mother, and I was just given all this information about, well, remember, this is what you agreed to inhabit this old body. And so, yeah, there was a lot of information that was kind of given to me in that first 4 to 5 months, so I could really remember and anchor in who I was and what I was here to do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's not every day I meet a walk-in, and especially one who is aware of that. I'd love to know, how was that transition for you, to like, lose a lot of people in your life and stop talking to your parents in this lifetime. Was that, I could imagine it might have been a little challenging.
It was challenging from the perspective that they obviously didn't know what had happened, and I couldn't obviously tell them. Like even now, my daughter's 20, nearly 23, and I've never had that conversation with her, even though the relationship changed on so many different levels. So I have had a lot of deep acceptance that, well, okay, I came here for mission and purpose to do something really big for humanity, and so there's been a lot of sacrifice during that journey. I haven't held on to a lot of friendships or, the relationship I was in at the time was obviously, he was the twin flame of the old soul. So he went through a lot of trauma. So, yeah, there was a lot of conversations that I did have to have with people to say, I'm not her.
Right. And then those who are no longer in alignment with this new, soul that's come in, obviously just kind of fade to the background. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. I'd love to ask
yeah.
you more about the Akashic Records, because perhaps there are some people listening who do not know exactly what they are.
Yeah, so we've got the Akashic Records, which is literally our earth life, kind of like spiritual library. I call it kind of like the internet, where I can just go into your files and just see, what's happening. So this is linked to your soul purpose, your gifts, karma, or just lessons that you have with people in your life that you're like, why is this happening? Why can't we, why have we got these issues with our partners or our parents? And who am I? Like, it basically answers every single question that you want to know about yourself. I also am very connected with the Akashic, which is your more galactic soul records. So I have the ability to look into what kind of star seed you are. Yeah, what's your global purpose? Pretty much everything. So yeah, it's really cool.
What is the process of you, reading them or identifying them? Is it just all energetic, or how do you personally experience, interpreting somebody else's Akashic records?
So basically, I always ask permission from their oversoul. And I'm basically having that conversation, whether it's talking to your soul from those past lives, because a lot of my work is really healing the distortions and the trauma on the soul level. And so it's literally I'm talking to you, getting permission to speak to higher versions of you. Sometimes I'm talking to the inner child. Yeah, I'm just working on that level, and it's all channeled in advance. It's all written down, and then we get on a call and go through everything that showed up, and you get a copy. It's really, really exciting. It's a blueprint of who you are, basically.
And is this blueprint set in stone, or can they be changed?
They can be changed from the level in this reality because we're living in, multiple timelines. And so, when we look at your past records, that's obviously set in stone. And this is the events that have happened, whether it's, you're struggling with fertility, again, you're struggling to just connect with your true mission because there's trauma on a soul level. But in this current reality, well, absolutely, you can change your reality and choose a different experience for yourself, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. And that totally resonates because I totally believe that we are co-creative beings. And in every present moment, we get to choose, what we wish to, manifest in our lives, whether we're conscious of it or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So can anyone access their Akashic records, or do they need some kind of training?
Look, I have a few issues with a lot of the, readers out there who are, basically saying they can read Akashics. I've been doing this a very long time. I'm a master. This is my skill set. It's something I can teach people, but it's not always easy to access straight away if you're not used to meditating or talking to your soul, right? Like obviously you can access any information via your soul. But yeah, like as opposed to a lot of readers out there saying I can do that, no, they're not always coming from integrity, let's just say.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. And I believe that we all have, these unique gifts and talents that we come in with in this life. And we're not all meant to do everything, right? That's why we can help one another out in the awakening process because we share our gifts and services to one another. And, something you're good at, I may not be, and vice versa. And but I think is really cool though, if people are interested, they can, do research about it and learn more about it. And some people may be naturally, good at, accessing parts of them that they never expected to. I mean, the first time I was ever exposed to the Akashic records, I didn't even know about them, but in a deep meditation, I found them. And then after that, inspired me to do more research. And it's so interesting, how life is so much more beyond than this 3D material world that we live in.
Yes, 100%. And that's what I really love to teach people about because when they think of past lives or other versions of themselves, we've come through that spiritual amnesia to forget all of that, right? And so my mission is to really sort of support you, activate and remember the core truth of you and what you have been studying over thousands of lifetimes if you're kind of stuck in a system that doesn't resonate with you anymore. Yeah, like whether you've got imposter syndrome or you've kind of gone on a journey that your parents wanted you to go on. And I come in and say, no, this is what you're actually here to do.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's super lightening, to wake up to the all these illusions and realize, oh, like this is actually, you think something's true, but it's just a false belief. And, we're not victims because all the things, all the challenges, the struggles in our life are, I believe our souls gave it, like we give it to ourselves to awaken, these obstacles. And sometimes we don't realize the karmic ties between past lives, these things that perhaps are holding us back in this life from living or and aligning with our soul purpose. And it's really interesting. It's such a topic that's dear to my heart, Daniela, because when I moved back from Australia, I actually went through a heartbreak. And during that time, it was like my first real heartbreak. And I came back to Canada, like just feeling like I was in a quarter life crisis, not knowing what to do with myself. And I just didn't
Yeah.
want to go back to a job or employment that didn't fill me up from the inside out. And I was just questioning everything in my life and asking myself, why did I come here? Like, what is the true purpose of my life? And, I realized along the way that it was not something that I need to get to outside of myself. Just like I realized from that relationship, which I also discovered later on that there was a karmic reason from a past life why it didn't work out in this lifetime, that happiness could never be found or dependent outside of who I am, and all these circumstances in my life are a reflection of what's in my inner world. And so the healing truly does happen from the inside out. And the purpose that we all come here to live, which I believe is also whatever we're being in every present moment, it is a matter of alignment and not a matter of finding or figuring out. It's like when we can align to that which is true and who we are, then it kind of just it happens. It's like a surrendering process, almost like we need to get out of our own way and just allow, but also trust and take, aligned action.
Oh, I love that so much. I just love your self-reflection and the gift that you're giving people with that piece. 100%. Yeah. And that's the thing, like we externalize so much, don't we? We're taught to seek all of these things outside of ourselves for validation. And the
Hmm.
more people that learn that the God self is within and God is the true healer, it just changes your whole life. It really does.
Yeah, yeah, and we are God, and we are our own healers as well. I also went through a lot of
Exactly.
health challenges moving back to Canada and seeking again for the healing outside of me, investing in this doctor and that doctor, but also realizing I am my own healer.
Yes.
And I truly believe it starts with our thoughts and our beliefs. I'd love to talk to you
Yes.
because you work with deep-rooted programming. For people hearing that for the first time, how would you describe what that means?
The programming. So basically, when we look at the matrix, it is literally a system that is designed to implant us with programs to serve those entities, right? And so a lot of my work is, you know, working with the star seeds and the world leaders to kind of show you, well, these thoughts that are in your head aren't yours. Like they've been inserted in different realities, whether it was as a child or societal. And so a lot of my work is really just shifting those old thoughts and beliefs that aren't yours. None of them are yours. And again, getting to the soul's truth. And for me personally, like most of the day my mind is empty. I don't have a million thoughts going on in my head, or I should be doing this, or something that the ego would usually say defines my worth. No, I just have a very calm, peaceful day most days.
I love that. And a lot of people would be listening to this and think, how?
Yeah.
Is it through a meditation, like through meditating regularly or the work that you do? How do you keep your mind at peace?
Again, I was just really recognizing that the inserts, like we have a lot of victimizer, martyrdom inserts as a star seed. And it's just recognizing what isn't ours. I do a lot of galactic sort of work around that, where I release the implants that are in your field. Sometimes they've been there since Atlantis, the Egyptian times, and they become like circuits, and I just kind of clear them on a daily basis if I feel something's trying to interfere. Like I'm very quite aware of my own energy field, and if something is coming in and it's like an intrusive thought, I'm like, no, that's not mine, that's from the matrix, and it comes through the Wi-Fi and
Hmm.
yeah, the EMFs and stuff like that. So if something is sort of like not right, one minute you're feeling great, and then all of a sudden you've got this really depressive thought, not yours.
Yeah, totally. I resonate with that. And I think as sensitive souls, when you feel that come on and it maybe shifts significantly, like it's not always our thoughts that we're thinking, right? It's so interesting because we're all interconnected, and sometimes they just come like a gush of air. And I think the most important thing is to be discerning and not attached to these thoughts. That's probably what helps you is you're not suffering because you're not attaching to all these thoughts that are coming in. You kind of just see them as clouds floating by. And one really important thing that I learned in my journey is like energetic clearing and cord cutting, which has helped me so much, realizing that I don't need to attach or keep these thoughts in my field. I can, energetically cut cords and clear my energy in my field.
Perfect. And one step further, I would suggest to anyone listening who does struggle with this, you have gatekeepers, and it's calling in your gatekeepers or your protectors to ensure that there's no negative, let's just say the negative aliens are the ones that are doing most of the damage, and that they cannot get into your energy field and try to assert their control, because the only reason they're able to do that is because you've given them some kind of permission. So once you sort of recognize that, okay, I'm not giving my consent to these energies in the matrix, then the cord cutting, and speak to the gatekeeper and say, please release anything in my energy field, really helps.
Love that. Thank you for that. Very interesting. And,
Yeah.
if somebody is interested in clearing some false beliefs or programming or patterns, what can they expect, like the process of working with you?
Look, it literally only takes me about 30 to 40 minutes to clear most of the stuff that's in your energy field. So I can, visually see and feel what is there. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's the NPCs. If you've heard of the NPCs, they're the ones. It's really just another fancy word for energies that can be soulless, and they soften our energy, and they're very much part of the matrix, keeping the matrix together. They're the ones working the 9-to-5 jobs. They don't question the authorities.
Okay.
And if they weren't part of the matrix, then it would already be collapsing. So the NPCs kind of come after us and try to bring us down, and a lot of the time it's a parent or someone we've considered a close friend of ours that is doing the damage.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. What does it actually stand for, NPCs?
I'll have to look it up. I've got a mental blank, but it's not. Oh, it's non-something player, non-something player. So, it's usually a character in a game. They call them the NPCs, but that's their role for the Starseeds, to kind of try to put us in self-doubt and make us feel unworthy. And it's kind of like that's it. Think of Mr. Smith and the Matrix, right? Like they're the ones that just kind of come at us and try to put us in fear.
Yeah.
So again, it's recognizing them.
That movie is such a reflection of reality. Yeah, it's pretty deep stuff. So in your opinion, how does early, nervous system conditioning shape one's identity?
Oh, it starts in the womb, everyone, right? So when your nervous system is being created in the womb, it takes on the energetic signatures of the environment with your parents, right? So it's not necessarily always the words that are spoken, but it's the emotion that your mother is going through. So I've done a lot of sessions with people where, whether they're scared to fall asleep or there's just been a lot of trauma in the womb, and people don't realize that's because you've taken on the patterning of your mother. Yeah, it's pretty full on.
Yeah, I could resonate this to so much. It's very interesting. When you spoke about this, it brings me back to, I was pregnant with my little one, and during the early stages of that pregnancy, it brought me back to the memory of the being in the womb of my own mother and feeling all that she was feeling. And it was so beautiful because during that time of pregnancy, there were so many opportunities that came up, to be healed. And it just reminds me how time is not linear.
Yeah, absolutely, my love. Yeah, totally. And I love that you've got that insight, and I would love to share that with the people listening, because we just don't even think about that when we have a fear come up. Like I have, rejection issues, and I'm like, no, that was how my mum was feeling at the time, and nothing to do with me. And just kind of moving her energy along a bit.
Yeah. We take things on that are not ours, right? And
We
we do
take on
so
the collective.
unconsciously. Yeah. We're
And that's
sensitive
that.
beings.
Yeah, and that's something that I still have to master, right? Like I have a tendency, my soul mission is to really sort of shift the grids, the false grid, at our feet. And a lot of the time I'm picking up on the collective shadow energies, and it just becomes so intense, just the grief or the injustice wounding. I'm like, whoa, like, we take on so much, don't we?
I'd love to ask, like, when that comes up for you, what do you do to cope with it?
I send it to source.
Hmm.
I ask source to release it. If I can share one story with people, I'd love to share this
Please,
one.
please.
So I was guided to go to Vietnam, was it last year? No, the year before.
Okay.
And I got so much psychic attack. Like I actually thought I was going to die there. Like my heart was really hot, and I ended up having to get my healer to help me. And I was like, what is going on in this area? And it was linked to the Second World War between America and Vietnam. And I was literally trying to shift all of this energy in that area. And I could just feel like so much anger coming at me. And yeah, that was one of the worst times where I had to call in a lot of backup. But yeah, that's what can kind of happen when you're in certain grid areas where there's still a lot of trauma in the land.
Sometimes we do things too that intuitively happen that we don't even realize what's going on at the time. And then we have moments where we reflect back and you're like, oh, that was happening. And I just having one of these moments right now, you're sparking in me by sharing your story. And I didn't think about it as, the grid alignment and like clearing the land. And it makes sense because my partner who comes from an indigenous background, studies background, he always tells us we are the mother, like we are the land. She is us and we are her. And so it makes sense. And there was a moment when we were traveling too out west and in Canada, and we were in Alberta and Calgary, and we met up with an old friend because that's where my partner is from. And his friend is totally into history, more of the dark side of history, but he was taking us for a little tour around the city and kind of explaining like all the wars that had happened and the battles. And, that night we went back to our Airbnb, and I just had like a vision and a feeling of all these people who had passed during those events. They just came to me, and I could feel them. I could see like the swords and the wounds and everything.
Yeah.
And I realized like they just needed help being passed over to the other side. It's not like they were coming to attack me or harm me. Some of them were a little bit more maleficent, but it's like they were just needing guidance to get to the light. And so I realized I was able to do that for them by calling in the light. And
Oh,
I kind of had, I feel grateful for my partner to guide me through these things because I do have a little bit of a fear of the dark. And sometimes when these thoughts come to me or these things that I'm seeing in my, my mind, I'm like, what is going on? But my partner is just so beautifully able to guide me during those moments. And I realized like we were clearing the land, and they just needed a little bit of help and support and love and reassurance. Some of them, had this feeling of, oh, but if I go into the light, you know, um, I'm going to be guilty for all that I've done. And like they had all these things
oh,
going on. And I'm like, no, but you're gonna be fine. There's no need to fear. It's like we all are going to the light, and we all came here to, live our purpose, whether it was good or bad. It's just it all is what it is. And we don't need to reject these parts of us.
oh, I love that story so much. That's so beautiful, darling. Yeah, and sometimes they don't. Like there was one place in New Zealand that I had my second worst attack, and the Maori chief actually came into the room and said, "Stop! Like stop inviting so much of your pure light into the land. We're not ready for it." And yeah, like your partner, my partner was very in tune with that Maori, and he sent him along. But yeah, they were not happy with what I was doing there. And I wasn't deliberately like our soul does these things even though we're just sitting there going, oh, we're just having a cup of tea, right? But was obviously doing something out there that they didn't like.
Yeah. I totally get that. Some people can fear the light, right? And it's I do believe it's meant to be a gradual process. For not everyone is ready to awaken in every moment. It's meant to be gradual. Like you said, there's lots of traumas that, are to be healed and remembered and accepted. And sometimes that's a slower process than not. It's an integrative
Yeah.
process, I like to think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel because I am such an advanced soul that I still struggle with that. I don't usually come to Earth because I find where the collective are at and their processing a little bit frustrating for me. So I've really had to learn a lot of compassion and empathy for where people are at and that they just don't want to awaken. Yeah, it's so
Mhm.
true.
Yeah, I can imagine, being in your shoes, what that would feel like. Because sometimes you just want to shake people awake. It's just so evident. But at the end of the day, we need to accept every soul is on their own unique journey, and we cannot live it for them. We cannot do the work for them. I believe we are all equals, but at the same time, we're all at different levels, and we don't all have the same role in every life, and part of the awakening process. And I think the most important thing we can have is compassion, loving and accepting
Mm.
everyone where they are and for who they are.
Yes, and especially a lot of the star seeds and the world leaders, like they have felt like myself, like very different. Like a lot of my futuristic thought processes probably 3 years in advance all the time. And so for me, I've put out things to the world that I thought, oh, this is great. They're going to love it. And it just comes back with a flop because they're just like, they don't get it. They don't understand it. Doesn't matter how grounding it is. I really had to change my languaging when I'm speaking because, yeah, a lot of my work in the last 13 years has just had to be back to the basics, and I find it really boring.
You would have such a good conversation with Nathaniel as well, my partner. He is such a visionary, and I always tell him he's like 10 years ahead of his time, and he just sees so much far and beyond, what is possible. And I believe you guys should shine your light, so bright. And I understand you want to take it back a notch so people can resonate, but those who are meant to will come up to you. I don't believe we should lower our light because people think we're crazy. I think crazy is a good thing in this world. More of us need to be a little bit insane.
Yeah, I understand that, and thank you so much. I feel like it is really important that we now feel that safety. We can step forward in the potency of our magic and our gifts, and that's really what I want to offer people.
Yeah, I love
Yeah, like
that.
yeah, the opportunity to feel the safety because a lot of the time we've been in environments and families where they haven't honored our spirit. Yeah, because they just have been very challenged by our light. Is that something you've experienced or?
Like being in a family situation.
Yeah, just being in an environment where you've kind of not always felt you could be your true self.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that right now. And it's interesting because a part of me dims my light in order to, I don't want to say fit in, but just kind of, you know, because we are so we become like our environment and those around us, right? And the thing is, for me, everything is about feeling. I feel like we are meant to feel alive. I mean, that's what life is. It is alive. And when we are not feeling anything other than love and, happiness, I feel like we're not living up to our true selves. And so
Yeah.
I believe that a lot of people are perhaps afraid to kind of step out of the comfort zone of, what their routine is or what their certainty is on a daily basis. And I think that this life is not meant to be lived in one place. Like you, I've had a lot of experience traveling and living in different parts of the world. And I always like to say, if we were meant to stay in one place, we would be trees and we would have deep roots, but we don't. And so I
Yes.
think life is meant to be experienced. And when we can, get out of our comfort zones, jump into the unknown and trust that the universe has a plan for us, that we don't need to have it all figured out before we leave or buy that plane ticket, but we will be provided for. I mean, that's Jesus left like that, and he didn't have a plan. He just trusted, and then he went through his awakening in the desert, and so much happened to him. But he just knew that, Father, Mother, Life had his back. And yeah, I feel like when we are living from that soulful place, we are so inspiring and inspired by life itself. And then these unique gifts and purpose that we all come in with kind of just shines naturally. And we don't really need to, make it effortful. It kind of just happens, and it's part of who we are.
Yeah, and if I could just elaborate on what you
Please
just
do.
said then, a lot of souls that have awakened in, let's just say, the last 4 years, they are stuck in those relationships that are karmic and have controlled them and not allowed them to shine. That's a lot of my clients as well. And if you're listening out there right now, like, let's just give them full permission to no longer feel they have to be the people pleaser and they have to serve these people that are, yeah, just not for their highest and greatest good. Because once they're free of that job or that situation that they've been afraid to leave, then things open up. They really do. Because as you said, you're guided by your God self and your soul. And once you learn to really listen to what the soul's saying, you feel the peace with that decision.
Yeah, yeah. And you trust, and you know that you don't need to settle for less in your life. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be fulfilled. That's why you came here. And we all came here to serve and help each other out. And the way I picture the humanity awakening is just like every single person on earth holding hands together and just like our hearts opening and the land healing and everyone doing what they love. And nobody's worried about money because you realize it's an illusion, and everyone's just doing what they love. And we all have such a unique creative expression. And I believe that when we're children, that for most of us, that shines through because we're so close to the spirit world. And then, as we grow up and go to school in these institutions and become programmed, like you say, and conditioned, we kind of like it starts to fade from us a little bit. And we believe
Totally.
that, we need to be a good employee to pay the bills and pay the mortgage. And, you know, we don't really, we suppress these true parts of us that are dying to come out. And that's what I love so much about your work, Daniela. It's such an important mission for you to be helping clear these patterns for people and these identities. And, you speak about identity recalibration. What does that actually mean? And how does that shift in someone when it happens?
So it's like going from one version of self to another. So the identity work that I offer people is the transitioning, right? So again, you know you're not this person anymore. You know you're not meant to be an accountant. You're meant to be stepping into more soul work. And I kind of just help them move through that transition phase where I give them that permission slip. I'm speaking to the soul, and the soul's encouraging them to move into that new identity. So it's something I've only been doing probably the last 7 to 8 months, and it's so potent and powerful. I love it because we are, right? It's literally like we're living two lives in this one life right now. And so there's this dying, isn't there? There's this feeling
Mhm.
of I'm not me anymore. And there's a lot of grief and depression that comes up as we're being asked by the soul to release these patterns and, yeah, parts of us. So it's good
Yeah.
to have someone there just to help facilitate that journey.
Absolutely. And hold space because big stuff will surely come up, and that's not always comfortable, especially in the beginning. But like you said, it's like this old version of you dying, so a beautiful new, more truthful version can be born. And so what can one expect, to experience and feel when they're living from this more aligned, soulful self?
I would love people to be feeling the oneness, the unity, like you're so much more connected with source, with the earth. You just don't have the doubt, you don't have as many insecurities. I mean, the hard part I find is the fear of the loss of everyone in their lives, like what's my marriage going to look like if I shift identity, or yeah, like that transition can feel quite hard because it literally is like a death and rebirth sort of cycle.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not being in that matrix where you're just so controlled, like you're living your truth, you're living from this space where you're just not worrying about what the authorities or people think around you. Like that's
Mhm.
how I am anyway. Like most of the time I just go, okay, yep, that's nice. That's what they want me to do. And I've got opposite defiance disorder. So I do the opposite of what anyone says.
I love that. And I'm the exact same way. You tell me to go right, I'm going to go left. And I've always been that way, more so, in the past couple of years, but I realize it also comes from and I feel like, it's we go through ebbs and flows in life, but I feel like when we truly accept who we are and love who we are, what people say don't phase us. But
Yeah.
it really has to come from a place of heart and knowing that, you don't need to be like everyone else. Like you came here to be you. And if everyone else is going that way, it doesn't mean you need to follow them. In fact, we all came here to be our own
Yes.
leaders. And yeah, I think focus is super important. You mentioned how some people might be focusing on what will happen to my current relationships or my job or my status. And I think, it's important to reflect on those questions, but it's even more important to reflect on the opportunity that could come out on the other side. Being excited. I always like
Yeah.
to tell people, like, get into a state of excitement and how you like to feel for the things that you desire in your life and live them as if they're already here because they are. Because as we mentioned, time is not linear. So, word is so powerful too. When we always speak about things in the future, saying, I want this, or I will be happy when I have this, it's like, well, why don't we start by being happy now? And then that will more easily come and be attracted to you. And I want to also touch on the connection
Mm.
piece. You mentioned how people will be more connected to those around them and their souls. And I feel like this is one of the biggest things right now in the world that people are craving. In a world where there's more, ways to connect more than ever, people are craving real connection, true connection. And I think it starts here,
Yes.
being connected to yourselves. And I mean, I'm no master at it. It's so easy when we're living in a society that is consuming our energy like all the time. But if we
Yeah.
can consciously, choose our thoughts and our actions and perhaps like make intentions throughout the day to just take time to connect to who we are, then imagine the opportunity to connect with those around us in our life and the opportunities that will come to us, because I believe at the end of the day we're all social beings, at least in these 3D bodies, and we absolutely need authentic connection.
Yes. And one of the things that was just coming through as you're talking about that is just try not to be on the socials so much. Like the moment you go on the socials, you start to lose that connection to self. AI technology, has its place, but if you're relying on AI technology all the time, that's where you disconnect from the God source. And that is the best way to come back in, through meditation, just sitting in nature, giving yourself permission just to be silent, even for 20 minutes a day. People find it really difficult to have that permission piece for themselves. Yeah, you're not going to find yourself and the connection to your soul if you're scrolling on your phone, or you're too busy worrying about what everyone else wants you to do. No, you've got to give yourself that permission. And I do. Like, I'm literally in a space of peace and silence most of my day, except when I'm working.
That's so
Yeah.
lovely. Thank you for that beautiful reminder, Daniela. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So you are living a nomadic lifestyle. How long have you been doing this, and what's inspired you to decide living that way?
It was part of the walk-ins contract. So the walk-in, to help me release the childhood programmings and stuff. The moment I'm sort of out of the country and out of the field where the old life is, there's a lot more soul growth and expansion. And so for me, it was also learning to navigate not being part of the system, right? So the more we're trapped in the mortgage or having to pay all these bills, like, I was not invested in that. And so, I could go to different countries and, even though, yes, you're still paying money for hotels and stuff like that, like, my overheads is not much. I lost my driver's license when I was in walk-in as well. So, for me, it's a lot cheaper lifestyle. You can house sit. I just love the exploration. I love visiting new places, and the inner child's like, what cafe are we going to today? Like, what's this going to be like? I just love, the exploration piece, being a Sagittarian as well.
Love that. Did you have any fears that came up for you throughout that process?
Oh, look, they still do. Like, when you're in a foreign country and you've got to learn the system. Like, as an example, this is just an example of trusting, my connection to God. Got to the UK. It's one of the most expensive places in the world. I ended up finding a hotel which ended up being £25 a night. I'm not sure how much that is American, but it's $50 Australian. And that's unheard of in the UK. It was
Wow.
just like, whoa, I found this place that was willing to charge me £25 a night just to have the experience there. So it can be done. It's just asking. Sometimes you just got to ask, your oversoul God connection. Okay, well, how can we make this work? So I'm not, you know, every cent I'm earning as a business owner is going towards rent. Like it's learning to do things on your terms, I guess, when you're a monad or nomad, I should say.
Yeah, no, I love that. Absolutely. And you really get to kind of sit in the driver's seat of your life and say, hey, what are we doing now? You're thinking more consciously about what you're doing, who you're seeing, where you're living, where you're going, because every day is new, it's fresh, and it puts you on your toes. So what I also love about
Yeah.
traveling is it puts daily things into new perspectives and fresh mindset, and it takes you out of that 9 to 5 or that, that routine of just always doing the same thing. And I believe life is meant to be that way. So for those listening right now who perhaps are working a 9 to 5 or are wanting to call in a little bit more adventure and freedom in their life, what would you say to them if they kind of want to start to, you know, implement a more, nomadic lifestyle for themselves?
Preparation. It's always
What
best to
was
have
that?
that a preparation.
Preparation.
Yeah, like one of the things, I started out, I was very naive when I started this lifestyle. It's really understanding the systems. And I mean, the accommodation system, the travel system, knowing how to get to A to B. Obviously, financially having something that you can put into place. So for me, I, did all of my sessions on Zoom. I set up my business so I could travel and do my sessions anywhere in the world. So you've got to have that backup plan. It's not just, I'm going to make this happen. There needs to be protocols and processes before you're really kind of ready to make that happen. Because for me, I don't know what clients booking in. I don't have that regular income from an employer. So for me, it's like making sure that if I think it's going to be a quieter week, where am I going to stay? Where I'm, not spending all of my money on accommodation, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. There definitely needs to be some thought put into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
How,
not for everyone.
right.
Like if
Right.
you are someone that loves family, as an example, like you love your creature comforts, like I'm very simplistic. I have my suitcase of 25 kilos. That's it. Like I don't have all of this stuff around me. I love plants. I love crystals, but I'd rather be authentic rather than accumulating stuff. Like
Mm.
it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally hear that. And like you said, it's not for everyone. There's homebodies out there who kind of just prefer to stay home or just go for a vacation for a week or two, come back, and that's fine too. That's what's beautiful about all our lives is they're unique. And what it really inspires me about your lifestyle, Daniela, is my partner and I totally see our family. We have a 2-year-old, young. She just turned 2 last weekend, and we totally see ourselves homeschooling her and traveling and doing our work everywhere we go. And we totally see the outside world as all of our school. And so we kind of just want to go with the flow. And our true mission is to help build bridges for communities. And so we really see ourselves kind of doing that. And everyone's asking us, well, how are you going to do that? And we're like, we don't have all the answers, but we know what we want and we're going to figure it out along the way. And we also know that it's important for us to, live in an environment where it feels more aligned with, who we are. And, when we had our daughter, we actually ended up on a one-way road trip out west in Canada, and we ended up on Vancouver Island, but we had not planned to go there. We left and we trusted that the universe was guiding us like it always is. And when we got there was all these soul contracts that, started to be met, and everything kind of just magically came together as it always does. But it reminds me that there is a source out there that is taking care of us and is meeting all of our needs in every moment. And the more that we can trust and lean into that, my God, the beautiful miracles and surprises that are, wanting to present themselves to us in every moment. Yeah, you might be frozen. Oh, we lost you. Oh, and you're back. Can you hear me,
Deeply,
Daniela?
I am so sorry, everyone. My phone decided to overheat. I deeply apologize for that.
That's okay. No worries. So are you planning on pursuing this nomadic lifestyle for much longer, or are you kind of just going with the flow?
Going with the flow at the moment, yeah. I think, you get to a point where you've got to create some kind of stability when you're doing this work. It doesn't always align where, yeah, like there's other things that I want to create in this world, have products, help people with their health and well-being, and you can't do that on the road. So at the moment, I am looking at creating more stability. Yeah. So
Uh,
that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Wonderful. And yeah, we're going to go through phases of that in our life too. There's always moments in life where, things are coming up for us and we just got to listen to those little nudges. Um,
Yeah.
I'd love to speak to you about New Earth leaders. You speak about them, and if someone's listening is wondering, like, am I one of those? So to you, who is a New Earth leader, and like what qualities define someone who would be ready to step into that role if they wanted to?
So for me, the new Earth leaders are the ones that are the disruptors of the current system. So they are the ones that are here to build the new architecture. So building the new schooling systems, the quantum systems for the money, the health system. Yeah, they just feel this real calling to make a difference to, yeah, what's happening out there. So like yourself, it's like, yeah, I want to homeschool because I don't like how the teachers are so trained to keep the kids suppressed, right? Like
Mhm.
I work a lot of, yeah, like with kindergarten teachers and just people that are building, yeah, something new for the world. It could be just an idea that you have. It could be a musician. Do you know what I mean? Like you're here to bring through frequency music. There's just this sense that I can't play in this old world and I'm here to, here to build something beautiful. That's who I love to work with.
I love that. And the key word that jumped out for me was right at the beginning when you said the disruptors, because I
Yeah.
could just totally vision that, people who are wanting to carve a new way for our world because there is a better way. Old systems are crumbling right now. They're not working. There's so many people pulling their children out of school and are looking for a better way, and it's so interesting because parents are thinking, well, oh my gosh, if they're not going to stay in the school and I need to work and I can't be home with them, then what? It's like, and the thing is, we're not meant to do it all ourselves, but if we can come together and collaborate and find ways to work together and co-create, that's why we're here. We're here to co-create the new world, the new earth. And, school, like the way I vision school for our new earth leaders, for the little ones coming in, is them being outside in nature, being surrounded by the abundance that is, and learning from nature itself. We don't need to teach them. They are our teachers, we need to listen and
Exactly.
observe because they are reminding us of who we are by being who they are.
Well, have you seen the kindergartens in China? How they're so self-sufficient and they're teaching the kids everything, like to sew, to cook, basically any adult job. These kindergartens are just like they should be throughout the whole world at the moment. It's amazing to
No, I
watch them.
haven't. Where did
You'll
you
have
where
to
did you see
Google
that?
it.
On
I think
Google?
they were just on, yeah, it could have been TikTok or Instagram. Yeah, you can just type in maybe kindergartens in China, and you'll
Okay.
be amazed that they've been taught all of these different skills. And I'm like, that's the way forward, where they're not, so babied by the parents, and the parents are telling them what to do all the time. Yeah, they're the new leaders to me.
I love that. When we were on Salt Spring Island out west, we were working at a forest school, and my partner and I, and our friend, she introduced us to this new, I totally, the name is slipping my mind now too, but we watched a movie, I believe it was in the UK, of the school where the children, they are
Mm,
not obligated to learn. They go there, and if they want to go to classes, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. And it's so interesting to observe what happens because towards, throughout the semester, they want to, like they choose to. And when they do choose to go to a class, they learn like 10 times faster than, anyone typically would because they're interested, they're choosing themselves, and they're just diving into one subject. And the beautiful thing too is the children are teaching one another. The teachers are just there to kind of guide and, you know, hold space, but the teachers are not doing the teaching. It's so interesting. I'm wondering if I could find the name of this film and maybe I'll
love
I'll
that.
drop it in the description. Yeah. So in the new Earth leaders
Yeah, I think it's
today,
important.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that is so, so important to start looking at alternatives outside the current systems. 100%. Like so many people, as you said, they don't know what to do. They can see things are broken, but they don't, yeah, they don't quite have the knowledge or what's the next step.
Hmm.
Mm,
So yeah, and
totally.
there's people too knowing that they're meant for more and that their lives are meant for more, but like you said, maybe not knowing what to do about it. And so in your experience, what would you say is one of the biggest blocks or challenges for these new earth leaders today?
Really listening to other people, like putting other
Mm,
people's needs before their own. Oh, I can't do that because they won't be able to live without me. Or yeah, there's just a lot of I just feel a lot of the star seeds and the kids that are here to do big things, they are just so under this illusion that they are needed by everyone else and they can't listen to themselves. So I love to just give them permission and say, no, this is who you are. This is what you're here to do. And then it gives them that permission. And it's like, oh, if I stay in this relationship, it's not going to allow me to do my soul's work. And I'm like, you came here with these beautiful gifts. You've been mastering this over thousands of lifetimes. Don't let this one person be your hold up. You
mm,
know, yeah, that happens a lot, unfortunately. So yeah, like if you're in a relationship or situation where you feel constricted, depressed, you don't have a voice, it's usually those people that are the ones to do the biggest work because they're in these situations to keep them silenced, unfortunately.
yeah, I really resonate with that, and I love that as your answer, truly listening, authentically listening. And it's so interesting because a lot of the time I feel like we all inherently know what to do, but we don't do what we know, whether it's something holding us back or the fear or whatever it is that needs to come up and be embraced. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was
And
nice.
it's a lot of distraction. Yeah, it's a lot of distraction. Like even for me, like I notice when I get distracted from what I'm here to do. I'm taking phone calls from friends, or there's things that are going on in the field that yeah, it kind of like goes, look over there, Daniela, and then I go, what am I doing again? And yeah, so it's distraction a lot of the time, sort of stops us from moving forward because we're scared. Like we don't know what the unknown looks like on the other side. There's no guarantee. Well, okay, if I let this thing go that's holding me back, what's that going to look like?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I can totally see that. And I feel like that's another reason why we also see a lighter lifestyle, traveling would take our little one away from that distraction because when you're in a certain place and you start accumulating these objects over time, what are we teaching our children? That these material things, that our phones are more important than being present and spending time with them? But then again, it's hard to teach presence when we're not present with ourselves. So for me, like
Yes.
conscious parenting, it's all about parenting myself. It's not about raising up my little one. It's about raising up my inner child. And so many things are coming up for us right now, but truly realizing that, we're not perfect, but we came here to embrace and heal these parts of us so that we can step into the versions that we came here to be.
100%. And if I could just share this story,
Please.
my my client who I'm working with, who's a kindergarten teacher, she connects with the children every day and she's like, what's the biggest issue that you're finding? They're like, mum's always on her phone. They won't
Mm.
play with me.
Mm.
Yeah, and these kids are just so sad about it that yeah, their parents are that disconnected.
Yeah, yeah.
So it really is the internal work, as you said. You've
And embodying it, right? Because we teach by example, not by what comes out of our mouth, but by what we do. They are like sponges and they pick that up. So I think we owe it to ourselves and to our children and to our future children that are coming in to really, step into the uncomfort of the unknown, step into these shadow parts of us that are coming up for the collective to be healed so that we can truly co-create the new earth that we came here to create. Yeah, do you have another moment to just chat quickly about the soulmates and because you've written about soulmates and twin flames, correct?
Yes, I did. That journey feels like a long time ago now. However, it's the message that I feel like a lot of people really need to hear. Again, like if we talk about we've got twin flames, we've got twin souls. I mean, they're all kind of like archetypes, and they're all just still part of us. But I'm really passionate about helping people get into the right conscious relationship to do the mission work. So a lot of couples that are coming together now are actually here to help shift the consciousness of the earth. And again, that's why I'm suggesting if you're in a very karmic or toxic relationship, you're actually meant to be with your beloved, someone that you are just feeling that unity and that oneness with. Yeah, and a lot of people don't know it exists. And, you know, to me, soulmates are the most pure, beautiful relationship to be in, while a twin flame is literally someone who comes in to show you what's under the surface in the unconscious, what you haven't dealt with. So, yeah, it's not always a suggested relationship, but definitely one for growth.
Absolutely. I have two follow-up questions for that. So first, how would you explain the difference between a soulmate and a twin flame?
A soulmate, you just feel they're your best friend. There's a calmness. You can talk to them about anything. They're your biggest cheerleader, right? It just feels as though you've known them your whole life. Familiarity. There's just this sense that you have a lot of similarities. You might have lived, you know, near each other for most of your incarnation, had a similar trajectory. And there's just this sense of, wow, like we're just so good together. With a twin flame, however, it's literally like two magnets coming together. And if there's polarization in the field, then there's just a lot of stuff that can show up, a lot of trauma, a lot of unhealed wounds, a lot of childhood suppression. It's like they mirror back to you what hasn't been resolved, and that can be past life stuff. So they can literally become the embodiment of, say, the parent that they have issues with, and they mirror that back. Yeah, it's quite fascinating.
Have you met a soulmate or a twin flame in your lifetime, Daniela?
Well, I'm with he likes to say the twin flame, but I call him more my mirror soul. So he's been someone who's literally mirrored back my positive and my negative traits in myself. We've had an on-off dynamic. There's been, you know, many times we've blocked each other. He hasn't been in my life for up to 8 months. And then at the moment we're in, you know, union, I guess you could say. And there's just this purity about the relationship. But we almost gave up on it so many times because it was so, you know, to the outside world toxic, even though our souls were very much in control of the process. So, yeah, but it can happen. You can't come into
you can
union.
Come, Nathaniel.
Oh, is that
my little one? You can
hello. You can come say hello to everyone. Love that. Can't hear you. Oh, there he is. I can't hear you, but hello. I can hear myself, but I can't hear you.
My goodness. Why is it not
There
working?
you go. I can now.
Yeah, but I took it out so we can all hear.
It's all good now, my love.
Sorry.
I can hear you.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know why that wasn't working. Oh, whoopsie. So
All good.
this is Luciana. Do you want to say hi,
Hello,
Luciana?
lover.
That's
Hi,
Daniela.
Luciana.
Hi.
Hello. I'm coming from Australia, darling.
She's in Australia. Mama used to live there. She's on the other side of the world, and it's summer, and it's tomorrow morning. She's from the future.
I am. It's 9:30 a.m. here, everyone, or 9:40.
Yeah. I'd love to end the conversation with this. I don't know. I don't think you heard my question there because apparently the
No.
microphone wasn't working. If you could leave, you know,
Yeah.
one truth for humanity that you think they're ready to hear, if you were to have a megaphone and you could speak to the whole world right now, what would you say?
Please, everyone, come back to the God source within yourself. Please know you're not alone in this world. It's really about reconnecting back to the God self and know that you've got these beautiful team of ascension guides around you that are here to support you, because I find a lot of people have this deep loneliness at the moment, especially when they're recognizing that they've awakened and there's, no one around them where they can kind of connect to God, call God in. And if you want to call in Jesus, Yeshua as well, if that's your belief system, that's how you start feeling at peace. That's been my process. That's why I go overseas and spend time by myself. That's my connection to God.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a beautiful truth and reflection for the whole world to hear, Daniela. Thank you for that. Just reminds me, at times when I feel I'm alone, it's not true. Even if we believe it to be, we are never alone, and God is always within us, and Yeshua is a beautiful guide. He's one of my primary guides, and anytime that you are wanting to invite him in, please do, because he's ready to connect with each and every one of you, and he's rooting for us. He really is.
Yes,
Yeah.
100% agree.
Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add? If somebody's wanting to find and connect with you, Daniela, or work with you, how could they do so?
Is it easier if I just send you like a Linktree link? They can message me on Instagram, Instagram or my email. I do have Linktree. I'm in between websites because I just dismantled the old identity about 4 months ago, and I haven't
Go figure.
rebuilt it. Yeah, I just couldn't align to her anymore. But if they want to message me on Instagram or email, I can send that through.
Amazing. Yeah, and I think I already have it. I will add it to the show notes, and if people want to just click on that and reach out to you, I'm sure that you'd be more than happy to be of service to them.
Yeah,
So
love that.
lovely. Thank you so much for such a beautiful conversation. And I love that you embody the work and all that you're here to share and teach, and, allowing this life to unfold as a beautiful co-creation rather than something that we need to plan day by day. For anyone listening, the links will be in the description, as well as I'll try to find that movie. And check out the kindergartners in China as well. Seems super interesting. And I just want to thank
Very.
you so much, Daniela, for sharing and being so vulnerable with our audience today.
Oh, it was an absolute pleasure. And thank you, everyone, for waiting for my phone to cool down a bit. Wasn't expecting that one. And if you're still with us right now, so much love to you all, and so much love to you, beautiful, for such a amazing episode. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you. And that goes your way as well. Don't worry about the moment where you dropped out there. It felt like a second, not a big deal. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and invite our little daughter for a farewell here, and I will see you on the other side. Thank you so much. Blessings to everyone. Much love.
Bye.
For watching.
Thank watching.
Say have a great day.
Have a great day.
I love you.
I love you.
See you soon.
Soon.
Hey, bye. Rachel. Mwah. Woo! Again, your spin. Another. I'm gonna get you.